Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. India and Brazil reaffirm commitment to strengthen bilateral ties and defend multilateralism amid US President Trump's unfair tariff moves. Time-tested friendship, says Russia, as India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meets Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Israel's security cabinet approves Netanyahu's plans to take complete control of Gaza. Hamas calls the plan a coup attempt amid ceasefire talks. Gold futures hit record highs after report of US tariffs on gold bars. The precious yellow metal rises above 102,000 rupees per 10 grams on India's multi-commodity exchange. And around 566 people rescued from flood-hit Hit-Uttarkashi district in India's Uttarakhand. And never seen before rains lash South Japan, triggering floods and landslides. Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a telephone call from the President of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, on Thursday. During the talks, Prime Minister Modi recalled his visit to Brazil last month, during which the two leaders agreed on a framework to strengthen cooperation in trade, technology, energy, defence, agriculture, health and people-to-people ties. Building on these discussions, the two leaders reiterated their commitment to take India-Brazil strategic partnership to new heights. The two leaders exchanged views on various regional and global issues of mutual interest. Prime Minister Modi and Brazilian President also agreed to remain in touch. Thereafter, Prime Minister Modi in his social media post said that he had a very good conversation with President Lula. Prime Minister Modi thanked the Brazilian President for making his visit to Brazil memorable and meaningful. And I quote the Prime Minister here: "We are committed to deepening our strategic partnership, including in trade, energy, tech, defence, health and more. A strong people-centric partnership between global South nations benefits everyone." Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva also posted on social media about his telephonic conversation with Prime Minister Modi. President Lula stated that Prime Minister Modi and he discussed the international economic scenario and the imposition of unilateral tariffs, as Brazil and India are so far the two most affected countries. They also reaffirmed the importance of defending multilateralism and the need to address the challenges of the current situation, as well as to explore possibilities for greater integration between the two countries. The Brazilian president also confirmed the holding of a state visit from Brazil to India early next year. As a preparatory step for the visit, the two leaders agreed that Vice President of Brazil, Geraldo Alckmin, will travel to India next October on the occasion of the Trade Monitoring Mechanism meeting. The leaders also exchanged information about the virtual payment platforms of the two countries, including Pix of Brazil and India's UPI. They also talked about the successes of the BRICS summit in Brazil and working together for the transition to the next presidency of the bloc, which will be led by India. So Trump's tariffs impacts have brought the two partners even more together. Brazil and India are the countries that are facing the highest tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump. Well, United States is definitely frustrated with India's move to hold up to the interest of its farmers and overall interest of the small entrepreneurs as well. And to discuss this, we have with us Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, senior economic journalist on the show now. Shubhamoy, welcome to DD India. Briefly tell us the importance of multilateralism in today's world and what are the steps that India, Brazil and the BRICS Forum can take to strengthen it.
Well, actually, there's quite a lot. I mean, what we are seeing right now is a sort of a breakdown of a multilateral consensus. The world trade, for instance, is dependent on the multilateral system that we have set up under the World Trade Organization. Now, that has stood us well. That has led to a substantial expansion of trade volumes across the world, and that has been so very useful. We should also look at something like what has happened to us in the global arena in terms of bringing up people from the poverty levels, both in India as well as in China. The world's largest level of poverty reduction and others have happened. Well, a good part of that has been mediated by the multilateral organization. So there's a lot that has really been of very major useful use to us. Given all that circumstances, today, if a country says that I want to go unilaterally, setting up tariffs, setting up trade relations, setting up negotiations which actually hit at the basis of multilateralism, then actually we are taking a few steps back from the progress that we have made.
Yeah. So India and Brazil are the two countries most affected by President Trump's tariffs. What are the possible steps that they can take to contain the effects of those tariffs, and would those steps be taken under the BRICS umbrella?
That's the point. Basically the BRICS formation has actually taken considerable space and considerable amount of what we should call attention in the rest of the world in terms of bringing very powerful economies together. And what BRICS has done is also has set up an institutional structure. We today have in BRICS the Global Development Bank, the New Development Bank. We also have a trading order that is being set up. So Brazil, India, Russia, China, South Africa, these countries with a relatively young population, very congruent ideas and developmental needs, can actually and are in the process of setting up a very powerful alternative to the earlier Second World War, post-Second World War based systems. So it is something to be welcomed, and it is something which is actually taking very strong shapes. As you also know, in the G20 forum, rapidly one after another. We had India. Before that, there was Indonesia. There was India. Now this year there's Brazil. Next year there's going to be South Africa. Now, this continuous series of G20 engagement among the BRICS nation, as you notice, is a very strong affirmation of their role in shaping the global multilateral order. Yatan.
Yeah. So President Trump has threatened to impose secondary tariffs to compel Russia to end the Ukraine conflict. But what would be the likely effects of these secondary tariffs on global inflation, global growth, and even the US economy itself?
Well, obviously these sort of things are not good at all, to put a very blunt bottom line to it. Why? Because tariffs are supposed to be not elements of war. They are supposed to be means to ensure countries can trade with each other at the most profitable way. So if we set tariffs, as President Trump has done, by saying that I set tariffs and I just use those tariffs to benefit USA, well, the world doesn't work like that. What happens is that he hurts US economy because the consumers pay for higher and costlier goods. For instance, if Indian spices go off the table of America, then that's clearly adding to the food inflation. Similarly, if there's a system that says that we will not be importing pharmaceuticals, the Indian pharma products exports underwrite a lot of the Medicare, Medicaid system in USA. The cost efficiency of those systems are dependent on the easy availability of pharmaceuticals that India is providing. So these are the ways in which the entire world is interlocked. And for President Trump to say that, no, I would ensure that only the American interests are kept predominant and are looked after is just not something that holds and can be sustainable, and it's actually going to be counterproductive. And about the secondary tariff, as you said, they actually do not help, because what it does is there are lots of ways countries can develop alternative trading systems, alternative structures, which would essentially move them away from the US sort of the mediated trade structure that is there, and it would hurt USA. It'll actually lead to an amount of what we should say disturbance for some time, because countries will be reorganizing their trade routes, trade paths, but after that the countries would be on their own.
Okay, how far could President Trump's, especially President Trump's tariffs, especially the secondary tariffs, complicate the US administration's efforts to secure trade deals with China and India?
Both. I mean, like basically what's happening is that we are not getting clear signals. We need to be sure that what is it that USA wants. If USA wants to sell high technology products, India is the huge market for it. If USA wants to sell Boeing, India has got a huge market for it. There is no problem there. But what USA is trying to sell are very low value-add products in the dairy sector, in the agricultural sector. Now, for India, that becomes a problem, because that's something that we are already self-sufficient in, and we do far better, thanks to our cost advantage, thanks to our farmers, thanks to lots of things. So we don't need that sort of system that USA is trying to sort of, push on. As a result, what's going to happen is that even while India is resetting its trade agenda, and forgive me, and rightly so, you will find that China also will find it extremely leery to enter into and sustain a long-term trade partnership with the USA, because they know that at any stage this system can be upstaged. So it definitely helps no one, because when you hit a tariff wall on your very major importing country, import partner, then what you do is that you also create uncertainty for other countries. So other countries also were worried that what is it that is there for me. So it's definitely not going to be beneficial for US-China trade relationship, and definitely with the US-EU trade relationships, because they'll also be watching these developments with a lot of concern that it could actually boomerang on them.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you also see it affecting US's international relations and international standing in the world?
Basically it has already done so. We have, from the post-Second World War, USA took up a special position in the world order as the global largest economy, as somebody which could understand the needs of other countries. The system of preferential access for least developed countries was predicated on the fact that that there are weaker countries which need the support from the USA, and the USA, as a country which had pioneered and had really worked in the Second World War, saying that this is the time for a post-colonial system to develop. In that sort of a system, USA was expected to take the lead role. Now, if President Trump says that, no, I look only at US interests, then obviously USA cannot say that I also will be the lead role in setting the global agenda. There are lots of stuff in the global agenda that will come up by and by as soon as this tariff thing, we cross the hump over. And remember, the tariff problem for India is not as much as we would be. I mean, in some quarters it may be said it is something that India can it will be a matter of adjustments, but we can handle it.
Okay. Let's hope so, that we leverage it and do it well. Thank you very much, Shubhamay Bhattacharjee, for joining us on DD India News Hour. So, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, during his recent visit to Moscow, confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to visit India soon. This came after the NSA held talks with President Vladimir Putin on Thursday in Moscow. During the meeting with Putin, the two leaders discussed ways to further strengthen the Russia-India special and privileged strategic partnership. The two leaders also emphasized the importance of joint efforts in preparation of the bilateral summit by the end of this year. They also discussed cooperation between Russia and India in multilateral formats and exchanged views on topical issues of international security. Earlier, NSA Ajit Doval also met Secretary of Russia's Security Council Sergei Shoigu. Doval described the India-Russia ties as very special and emphasized the strategic depth of their relationship.
We have got a very special relationship, a long relationship, and we highly value our strategic partnership. We have had high-level engagements, and these high-level engagements have contributed very substantially. We are very excited and delighted to learn about the visit of His Excellency, the President of Russia, President Putin, to India. I think that the dates are almost finalized now. The more important thing is this, that is, these summit meetings have always been the watershed points.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Washington doubles its bounty on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to $50 million. The US builds a migrant detention center on a military base in Texas, planned to hold up to 5,000 migrants. And France's biggest wildfire in decades continues to burn for days and will continue to do so, say authorities. Dozens of homes destroyed.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Updates next on the crisis in Gaza. Israel's political security cabinet approved a plan to take control of Gaza City in entirety early on Friday. The approval came hours after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel intended to take military control of the entire strip. Netanyahu's office in a statement said that the IDF will prepare to take control of Gaza City while providing humanitarian aid to the civilian population outside the combat zones. The Security Cabinet, by majority vote, adopted 5 principles for concluding the conflict. These principles include disarming of Hamas, the return of all hostages, living and dead, the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip, Israeli security control in the Gaza Strip, and establishment of an alternative civil administration that is neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu told Fox News that Tel Aviv doesn't want to keep the Gaza Strip, which Israel took over in 1967, but withdrew troops and settlers in 2005.
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And you were in the Gaza Strip today. You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Taking another step to secure peace in the region, Lebanon's cabinet approved the objectives of a US proposal for disarming Hezbollah by the end of the year, along with ending Israel's military operations in the country. Lebanon's cabinet met on Thursday to discuss disarming Hezbollah after the Iran-backed group rejected the government's decision to take away its weapons. Information Minister Paul Marcos said that the cabinet endorsed the introduction of the US text without discussing specific timelines. The objectives of the US proposal include phasing out the armed presence of non-state actors, including Hezbollah, deploying Lebanese forces to key border and internal areas, ensuring Israel's withdrawal from 5 positions, resolving prisoner issues through indirect talks, and permanently demarcating Lebanon's borders with Israel and Syria. The US proposal aims to extend and stabilize the ceasefire agreement between Lebanon and Israel brokered in November. Meanwhile, US welcomed the Lebanese government's decision to task the Lebanese armed forces to bring all weapons under state control.
This is an important step towards Lebanese sovereignty. We continue to watch developments in Lebanon very closely. Special Envoy Tom Barrack made it clear what the president needs to see. As long as Hezbollah retains arms, words will not suffice. The Lebanese armed forces must fully commit and act now to fully implement the government's decision. The credibility of Lebanon's government rests on its ability to match principle with practice.
On to the Americas now. The United States on Thursday doubled its bounty on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to $50 million. Maduro faces federal drug trafficking charges and whose most recent election victory was not recognized by Washington. The previous bounty was set in January at $25 million. In 2020, during President Donald Trump's first term in office, Maduro and other high-ranking Venezuelan officials were indicted in federal court in New York on several charges, including participating in a narco-terrorism conspiracy. The Justice Department accused Maduro of leading a cocaine trafficking gang called the Cartel of the Suns that shipped hundreds of tons of narcotics into the United States over the 2 decades, earning hundreds of millions of dollars. In a video on social media, Attorney General Pam Bondi said that he's one of the largest narco traffickers in the world and a threat to US national security. Bondi said Maduro also had worked with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua and Mexico's Sinaloa cartel.
Today, the Department of Justice and State Department are announcing a historic $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. Maduro uses foreign terrorist organizations like TDA, Sinaloa, and Cartel of the Suns to bring deadly drugs and violence into our country. To date, the DEA has seized 30 tons of cocaine linked to Maduro and his associates, with nearly 7 tons linked to Maduro himself, which represents a primary source of income for the deadly cartels based in Venezuela and Mexico. Cocaine is often laced with fentanyl, resulting in the loss and destruction of countless American lives.
Reacting to increased bounty, Venezuela termed the decision as pathetic and ridiculous. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Juan Gil said in a statement on Telegram that the pathetic bounty is the most ridiculous smokescreen they've ever seen. The United States is building a migrant detention center at Fort Bliss near the Mexico border, planned to hold up to 5,000 people. The Pentagon said on Thursday that the construction began in mid-July with an initial capacity of 1,000 detainees expected by mid to late August. This facility is part of President Donald Trump's ongoing focus on immigration enforcement during his second term. Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson confirmed the expansion will continue over the coming months to reach its full capacity. News from the weather front now. France is facing yet another intense heat wave that has lasted for the past 2 months. In many cities, temperatures have crossed 40 degrees Celsius. Extreme heat has led to wildfires, especially in the southern parts of the country. Authorities have issued red alerts and advised people to stay indoors and keep themselves hydrated. DD India's Rohini Gosavi filed this report from Paris.
France is facing one of its worst heat waves in recent years. In June and July, temperature raised about 40 degrees Celsius in cities like Paris, Bordeaux and Toulouse. Dry air and rising temperature caused massive and largest wildfire in south of France. More than 13,000 hectare area burnt out. Nearly 2,000 firefighters and water-bombing aircrafts are fighting and saving the lives. Experts are saying over and over again that climate change caused the heat waves.
Even though we're on this global warming, increasing temperature kind of ladder, on top of that we always have variations, and some of those are due to, for instance, to this ENSO phenomenon. And in 2023-24, there was a strong El Nino, and that typically boosts temperatures above that kind of ever-increasing ladder. And now we're still on that ever-increasing ladder.
This intense heat has had serious effects on people. French Health Department confirmed nearly 500 deaths during June and July, mostly among older people, children, and those who work outdoors. At the same time, more than 400 people drowned while trying to cool off in rivers, lakes, or the sea without taking enough safety measures. People are struggling hard to keep themselves cool as temperatures keep rising.
For older people and for the children, it's very difficult, but even for us, I mean, for me also, it's very difficult. We're much more tired. It's very difficult to sleep at night. And so if it's just 1 or 2 days, it's okay. But when it lasts for more than 1 week, I really start to be tired by the heat.
Recent years, the temperature were increasing, so we are obliged to go to the south of France and to discover other countries like Spain, Italy, where they have more beaches and seas. But if we're staying here in Paris and seeing the sun, we have to put our hats, put our sunscreens. So yes, and here in Paris we don't have the notion of air conditioners, so we are obliged to open our windows and to pray to God to give us some good weather.
Many outdoor activities stopped due to heat. More than 200 schools were shut down right before summer holidays. The top floor of Eiffel Tower was shut down. Cities like Paris turned into ovens. Metro trains become too hot to use, and people are using public fountains as places to cool down.
I go to the park with a tree and swimming pool. It's very difficult for me.
Normally, I stay in my home and I close the door, the window, tout ça. Yeah.
Scientists say climate change has made this heat wave 3 times more deadly, and August brought new heat warnings with new spikes of temperature. And such conditions are no longer unusual. This has become the new normal. France faces now clear warning. Such heat waves come often, stay longer, and feel even worse. Experts say we must act fast to save people and fight climate change. This is Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
And onto the Americas, troops and Coast Guard personnel are deployed to Canada's easternmost province to confront wildfires that have forced hundreds to evacuate. Wildfires across the vast country this year have already burnt 7.1 million hectares of land, an area roughly the size of Ireland. With hot, dry conditions expected to persist across several regions and 730 active fires burning, the damage this year is almost certain to pass the toll from the 2 decades ago. In recent years, Canada has experienced warming at least twice as fast as the rest of the globe. In the United States, firefighting aircraft were seen flying over a fast-moving bushfire in California's Ventura County. The fire has burnt an estimated 1,051 acres and is not contained yet. Evacuation orders have been issued for parts of the Los Angeles County. The areas near Hazley and Romero are also under evacuation orders. In Asia, China is on high alert as torrential rains trigger severe flooding in central Henan province, disrupting transportation and cutting power in southern areas. Northern provinces are also bracing for heavy downpours, with forecasts predicting more than 200 millimeters of rain in some regions. The sudden deluge has left urban districts in central China heavily waterlogged, forcing the suspension of some subway services. Emergency response measures have been activated nationwide as authorities prepare for further rainfall in the north. Meanwhile, Japan's weather agency has issued a special heavy rain alert for the southern region of Kagoshima on Friday, warning that lives are at risk. So these never-before-seen rains follow a period of severe heat in many parts, with a national record temperature of 41.8 degrees Celsius. Authorities have urged residents to evacuate without waiting for orders from municipalities. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India's parliamentarians pay tribute to freedom fighters who fought for independence during the Quit India movement.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Here are the top stories of this hour. India and Brazil reaffirm commitment to strengthen bilateral ties and defend multilateralism amid US President Trump's unfair tariff moves. Time-tested friendship, says Russia, as India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meets Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Israel's security cabinet approves Netanyahu's plans to take complete control of Gaza. Hamas calls the plan a coup attempt amid ceasefire talks. Next updates from India. The monsoon session of Parliament is underway. The upper house, Rajya Sabha, paid tribute to freedom fighters who fought for independence during the Quit India movement. Paying his tributes, Deputy Chairman Harivansh said that 9th of August marks 83rd anniversary of the historic movement, which was a defining chapter in nation's relentless struggle for independence. He added the movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi in 1942 marked a decisive and powerful call to end the British colonial rule. In the lower house, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla led the house in paying tributes to the freedom fighters who participated in the Quit India movement on the occasion of Agast Kranti Divas, also known as the Quit India Movement Day on 9th of August 2025. Meanwhile, both the Houses of Parliament faced repeated adjournments due to the continued protest by opposition parties over several issues. The Rajya Sabha has been adjourned till 11 a.m. local time on Monday, while the Lok Sabha will reconvene at 3 p.m. local time today to discuss the key bills of the government. The bills slated for discussion in the lower house include the National Sports Governance Bill 2025, the National Anti-Doping Amendment Bill and the Merchant Shipping Bill. And DD India's Dibendu Mondal is tracking those updates from India's Parliament House. Dibendu, looking at the week gone by, how productive has the functioning been in both houses of Parliament?
Well, Tanvi, we have seen the entire week of this monsoon session's third week being washed off completely because of the repeated ruckus and adjournments that we have seen in both the houses of Parliament, given the fact that the opposition has been trying to raise this issue of SIR, which is the Special Intensive Review of the Electoral Roll in Bihar. ever since the beginning of this monsoon session, we have seen that the opposition has been trying to create ruckus in the House, in the well of the House, in fact, in both the houses. And despite repeated requests from the government as well as from the chair, the opposition doesn't seem to budge on this important issue. And therefore, the House had to be repeatedly adjourned over the last couple of weeks. Only, the debate on Operation Sindoor had been carried out, in both the Houses of Parliament, and over 16 hours each in both the Houses of Parliament did debate. But having said this, Tanvi, the government is clear on the fact that they want, legislative businesses to be done in both the Houses of Parliament, and the government has taken up clear strategy of passing bills amidst the ruckus that is currently underway in both the Houses of Parliament. And, important bills over the last 1 week have been already passed in the Parliament. Also, the extension of the President's rule in Manipur was passed by both the houses. The appropriation bill for Manipur, which includes the finances of Manipur because it's under President's rule, that was also passed. The realignment of scheduled tribes parliamentary constituencies in both the houses have also been passed, and this bill is slated to be taken up in the Rajya Sabha. It was slated to be taken up in Rajya Sabha today, but however, the Rajya Sabha had to be adjourned after continuous ruckus from the opposition parties. But today, the Lok Sabha is expected to reconvene at 3 p.m., but we are expecting that there is likely to be same ruckus seen on the floor of the House, but the government still plans to introduce 3 bills. Which is the anti-doping bill, the sports amendment bill, as well as the merchant shipping bill. But of course, the opposition is keen on the fact that they will continue their protest in the House, in the well of the House. They've been bringing posters and jumping into the well of the House. But, we'll see how the next week of Parliament, the last week of this monsoon session continues. Sanvi.
Okay, thank you very much. Dibendra Mondal there, reporting from Indian Parliament in New Delhi. Now, amidst the disaster that struck Dharali region in North Indian state of Uttarakhand, Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami has been at the forefront for the last 3 days, monitoring every activity. The Chief Minister is present at ground zero and has reviewed the situation, reaching out to the relief teams and giving directions to the teams, assuring that the affected families get the assistance from the government.
नगर था पूरा का पूरा आपदा की भेंट चढ़ गया और ऐसे अनेक रास्ते अनेक पुल यहाँ के भवन होटल होम स्टे मकान जो भी थे सब जो है इस प्रलय में बिल्कुल समाप्त हो गए। लोग परेशान हैं, उन्होंने अपने किसी परिजनों को खोया है। मैं आया हूँ आज उनको भरोसा दिलाने के लिए कि जल्दी ही हम सभी व्यवस्थाओं को यहाँ पर व्यवस्थित करेंगे।
Earlier, Chief Minister Dhami on Friday morning held a high-level review meeting with DG, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, IDPP, DG, National Disaster Response Force, NDRF and DGP Uttarakhand Police, and took many important decisions related to the development of the state. Special emphasis was laid on quick restoration of communication, electricity and road connectivity and uninterrupted supply of relief material. The Chief Minister gave clear instructions that there should be no delay in reaching out to the affected people and the administrative machinery should work round the clock with full sensitivity. Meanwhile, the Indian Armed Forces are working tirelessly to provide food and relief material in areas affected by a tragic cloudburst incident in Dharali district. Overall, 566 people have been evacuated till noon on Friday. Braving harsh weather and rugged terrain, Indian Army teams are continuously engaged in restoring connectivity, evacuating residents and tourists, while providing medical support and delivering essential aid. Presence of senior military commanders has enabled seamless coordination with the State Disaster Response Force, IDBP, and local administration and civil authorities, ensuring swift and effective humanitarian assistance and disaster relief.
The present focus remains on getting the tourists out who were stuck at Gangotri approximately 400 tourists who were at Gangotri along with the residents have been pulled out from Gangotri and got to Harsal. And with the aid of the civil administration, the civil helicopters and the Indian Air Force, we've been able to pull out approximately 355 people from Harsal to Maithili, that is south of Uttarkashi, from where the Uttarakhand government is sending them down to Dehradun. We also moving medical supplies for which the Indian Army has deployed its resources, and all people who have been affected by this incident are being provided medical assistance and also being evacuated.
Road connectivity in the region is majorly affected by the landslides. NDRF teams along with SDRF are working continuously to restore a broken bridge by using ropes. The government vehicles are being used to move passengers to safer places. The State Disaster Response Force conducted aerial inspection of Harshil and Dharali disaster areas through drones. The expert team surveyed areas in inaccessible areas where ground access is extremely difficult due to the landslides and debris. The Indian Army is also using its helicopters to send relief material to Harshil from Chinya-Lisore. People are being sent safely to their destinations with the help of these helicopters. DD India's Dr. Kanchan Negi joins us from Dehradun on the story now. Kanchan, what's the current update on the rescue operations?
Well, 566 passengers have been evacuated from the disaster-affected areas in Dharali and Harshil, Uttarkashi, while the process of evacuating the remaining 300 people is still on. The rescue people are being brought to the helipads at Maithili and Chinya-Lisore in Uttarkashi, where all arrangements have been made to send them to their destination after first aid. 74 people have been rescued by the Army's Mi-17 and Chinook till 12 noon at the Chinya-Lisore airstrip, where the availability of all means of transport has been ensured. Everyone is being sent safely to their respective destinations. And moreover, Uttarakhand DGP Deepam Seth has reached Uttarkashi to inspect the site of the incident and take stock of the rescue operations. After landing at Maithili helipad, he left for Harshil after meeting the CM. And furthermore, I would like to say that the construction of the Valley Bridge on the Gangotri National Highway, blocked due to the collapse of the Limcha Guard Bridge near Ganganani, is progressing rapidly. He reviewed the rescue operations by holding a meeting with the police officers in Maithili and gave necessary instructions to everyone to speed up the relief and rescue operations. And as you can see, the weather here is really, really bad. It was raining like cats and dogs. In the morning, the weather was pretty clear, but now you cannot trust the weather of Uttarakhand. At any moment, the weather can change. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Uttarakhand is seeing record rainfall there. Thank you very much, Dr. Kanchan Negi, for being with us and updating us on this story.
Thank you so much.
And next we take a look at other stories making news in India. Operation Akal has entered into the 8th day in Akal Devsar area of South Kashmir Kulgam district. Security personnel continue combing the area for more terrorists. One terrorist has been neutralized so far as the operation continues. Meanwhile, officials also help to relocate the villagers to safer locations. Next, in a significant move aimed at boosting economic ties of Kashmir with the nation, the Northern Railway has officially opened Anantnag railway station under its Jammu division for the movement of goods. Anantnag is now equipped for handling incoming and outgoing freight. This has also marked an important milestone in the ongoing development of Baramulla-Srinagar-Banihal railway corridor. As the most awaited Hindu festival of Raksha Bandhan is just a day away, prisoners from the Dasna jail in Ghaziabad have made Rakhis, these threads that sisters tie on the wrists of their brothers. These Rakhis are being made by the inmates of this jail in Dasna. The jail has also made special provision to sell these Rakhis to the visitors, which will also motivate the prisoners to engage in more such constructive extracurricular activities. You're with us on DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. OpenAI unveils GPT-5, its most powerful model so far. In sports news, America's Ben Shelton and teenage sensation Victoria Mboko lift Canadian Open singles titles. And 9 players from Paris Saint-Germain are nominated for the men's Ballon d'Or. Thank you for staying with us on DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. OpenAI launched on Thursday its GPT-5 artificial intelligence model, the highly anticipated latest installment of a technology that has helped transform global business and culture. OpenAI, in a briefing, said that GPT models are the AI technology that powers the popular ChatGPT chatbot, and GPT-5 will be available to all 700 million ChatGPT users. The AI industry is at a pivotal moment, with top developers like Alphabet, Meta, Amazon and Microsoft heavily investing in data centers, totaling nearly $400 billion in capital expenditures this fiscal year. The surge in spending is driven by the growing demand for AI solutions and the potential for substantial returns on investment. Key players are betting big on AI infrastructure, expecting significant growth and returns as the technology continues to advance and become more integral to various industries. Now, amid reports and expectations that the US would remove overlapping tariffs on Japan, the Asian shares rose to a record high in the country for the first time. Japan's Nikkei 225 index rose over 2% and topics by more than 1%, trading above 3,000 for the first time. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index dipped 0.7%. China's CSI 300 index fluctuated between losses and gains. Australia's AXJO dipped 0.1% and South Korea's Kospi fell 0.7% after Wall Street showed mixed indices on Thursday. Overall, MSCI's broadest index outside the Asia Pacific declined 0.6% in response to US stocks' mild losses recorded on Thursday. These responses can also be attributed to Stephen Miron's selection to fill in a newly vacant seat at the Federal Reserve. Meanwhile, US stocks showed marginal rise with S&P 500 E-minis up by 0.3%, Nasdaq futures rising 0.4%, Nasdaq showing gains for the third consecutive day there. The 10-year Treasury benchmark notes rose to 4.2% in response to weak sales of 30-year bonds. Also, the US dollar rose by 0.1% against Japanese yen. The European single currency dipped to 0.1%. And the dollar index USD was up 0.2%. Gold futures witnessed record highs on Friday amid reports of increased US tariffs on 1 kg gold bars. Gold prices shot up on Friday as gold futures with the October expiry on multi-commodity exchange hit a lifetime high, rising 557 rupees or 0.6% to 1,02,250 rupees per 10 grams, while spot gold was on track to second straight week high amid the tariff turmoil. Meanwhile, gold futures for December expiry on COMEX hit a 52-week record high on Friday. And time now for some sporting action. From thrilling comebacks to history-making wins, the Canadian Open Tennis 2025 delivered drama and unforgettable tennis moments. America's Ben Shelton won the biggest title of his career, while teenager Victoria Mboko delivered the best performance of her life. Julian Cash and Lloyd Glasspool scripted doubles history, and American stars Coco Gauff and McCartney Kessler triumphed in the women's doubles. Here's more.
Power, resilience and history. The Canadian Open saw champions rise under pressure and deliver career-defining performances. Here's a look at the champions who made their mark this year. Men's singles. American Ben Shelton powered to the biggest title of his career, rallying past Russian Karen Khachanov 6-7, 6-4, 7-6 to win the ATP Masters. The 22-year-old, ranked 7th in the world, unleashed 16 aces in a high-octane final to claim his maiden Masters 1000 crown. Shelton's victory marks a major breakthrough, cementing his place among the game's top contenders. Women's singles. Victoria Mboko overcame a wrist injury and a slow start to stun four-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka 2-6, 6-4, 6-1 in the women's singles final. Mboko joins Bianca Andreescu and Faye Urban as the only Canadians to win the hometown tournament in the Open era and becomes the first to do so in Montreal. Men's doubles. Julian Cash and Lloyd Glasspool saved 4 match points before edging Salisbury and Skupski. The all-British pairing made history as the first from their nation to lift an ATP Masters 1000 title. Women's doubles. The women's doubles crown went to Coco Gauff and McCartney Kessler, who fought past Townsend and Zhang despite the loss. Townsend retains her WTA #1 doubles ranking, with Yelena Ostapenko exiting in the quarterfinals. The champions now turn their focus on the US Open, carrying momentum. With emotions running high and title changing hands, the Canadian Open has once again delivered world-class tennis and unforgettable moments. Sports Desk, DD India.
On to football now. 9 players from Champions League winners Paris Saint-Germain have been nominated for the prestigious men's Ballon d'Or this year, along with the club's coach Luis Enrique. Top stars like Ousmane Dembele, Desire Dou, Achraf Hakimi, Nuno Mendes and Fabian Ruiz also featured in the list of nominations. Dembele scored 35 goals and claimed 16 assists in all competitions for the Paris Saint-Germain. Other nominees include Barcelona's Rafinha, Liverpool's Mohamed Salah and Manchester City striker Erling Haaland. Spain and Barcelona's teen sensation Lamine Yamal has also made the cut for the top prize. 5 England players have been nominated for the Women's Ballon d'Or after their Euros triumph, including goalkeeper Hannah Hampton, Lucy Bronze, Alicia Russo, Chloe Kelly and Lee Williamson. Marta Vieira da Silva, who came out of the retirement to lead Brazil to the Women's Copa America title at the age of 39, was also nominated. In a big move for Indian sports entertainment, Prasar Bharati has signed an MOU with Axe Sport. This partnership will bring Global League Wrestling to Indian viewers. It is the first professional wrestling league of its kind in India and the Asia-Pacific region. Speaking to DD India's Narayan Singh, chairman of the group and Export, said that GLW will give Indian wrestling talent a chance to shine globally.
A new chapter has been started with a historic partnership between Prasar Bharati and AE Exports. As a chairman, so it's a new chapter that will bring the sports to the fore, in front of the people of India. So how you look this historic initiative?
Well, firstly, it's an honor to be partnering with Prasar Bharati, because when we had a choice of any channel to partner with for world-class global league wrestling, which is going to take WWE on, we chose the biggest platform available on the planet, which is Doordarshan, All India Radio and Waves, which together can reach 1.5 billion people or 150 crores, right? So there is no better partner, no better platform for us to bring world-class content for Pro League Wrestling. We have the singular honor of having the great Khali as the brand ambassador and talent commissioner. And we all know what great Khali's reputation is on WWE and of course the worldwide platform.
Talking about the league, as we know that WWE is already there and this new league is going to be there. So what will the format of this league and how it will work? Basically in terms of, we know that there will be certain rules and regulation, how the traditional wrestling will be a part of it, or it will be like an entertainment factor?
Firstly, this is entertainment-based sport. So therefore, what we will have is trained wrestlers who are passionate about wrestling as a sport, but they're bringing entertainment, number one. Number two, what is unique about this is we will have Indian characters, Indian actors, Indian wrestlers who will be part of this. Unlike WWE, WWE today is available on pay-per-view with just 1 crore viewers on it. Whereas we, on day one, will have 150 crore people. Right? So we're already 150 times bigger than them, right? Number one. Secondly, I think by having Indian wrestlers under the tutelage and mentorship of the great Kali, we will have formats where India takes on the world for the World Championships.
Definitely, the way there is a great potential for this wrestling league, and we are hoping that the Indian wrestlers, especially who are in the far-flung areas of the country, definitely it will also give an opportunity to them and chance to them to shine at the global stage with this league. With camera person Saurav, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
So that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.